Today we are looking at a hidden treasure of yours. So it's going to be pretty open to whatever wants to come up, but I'm thinking like a hidden gift or a hidden skill or something that you're not aware of that is valuable to maybe other people that you haven't explored yet. But I want it to be something that you're not necessarily aware of and that is unclear or unexplored up to this point to you. And we are going to be, it's kind of like a dragon theme because I have these new dragon cards that you're going to be using to select your group. And so I was kind of going with the theme of dragons having hoards and having treasures that they guard and keep to themselves. So it's going to be about something that you're guarded about or hiding or keeping under like lock and key, whether you're aware of it or not. I figured that would be a fun theme for dragons, so that's what we're doing. Without further ado, let me, before we get into the group selection, get into our usual brief centering exercise. So if you'd like to stick around for that, that's just a few minutes of brief meditation to get us into the headspace of touching in on our intuition, tapping into our intuition, and connecting with the messages that are meant for us in the way that they're meant for us. So without further ado, if you're sticking around for that, let's get into it. Otherwise, I always have the timestamps so you can go check those out. So first things first, if you are joining me for the brief centering exercise, if you are not able to like sit down and focus, if you're driving, if you're doing anything that requires your attention, maybe skip this, participate again at a later time. But for those of you who are able to, get yourself comfortable. Feel free to pause the video if you need time to do that. And when you're ready, if you feel called to, you may close your eyes and simply listen to the sound of my voice as you take a few deep breaths. And just imagine that you're inhaling relaxation, peace, love, whatever sounds good to you in this moment. And then exhaling anything that you want to let go of or just anything that's ready to leave your energy at this time. Just inhale that good stuff and exhale anything that is excess that needs to go. And as you do that, I want to invite you to connect more deeply with your heart space. So you might bring your attention to your heart space and imagine that as you're inhaling and exhaling, you're inhaling through your heart space and exhaling through your heart space. So just the center of your chest. Or for those of you who feel called to focus on another part of your body, you may want to do the same exercise with a different part of your body if you're feeling particularly drawn to that or blocked in a certain area, or maybe there's an area that you want some healing in. You might just give it some love and attention at this time. So while you're doing that, I'm just going to speak a little bit about connecting to intuition. And as we are talking about something that is a hidden treasure of yours or gift of yours, it's important to note that a large part of your intuition is about your subconscious mind, the part of your awareness that isn't always conscious, but is always with you. Your subconscious mind is always working behind the scenes, and at different points, your conscious mind can become aware of different parts of your subconscious, and once it does, that means that for that moment, it's part of your conscious mind. And so when we're talking about really, when we're doing any kind of divination or reading, a lot of the time we are tapping into parts of your subconscious, bringing things into awareness that are there, but might need to be triggered by a certain idea, card, word, energy. And so that's the intention today, to tap into some part of your subconscious that needs to be brought to your attention, that is valuable in some way, valuable to you, valuable to the world, that might have a little extra protection around it. You know, I'm thinking of like your inner dragon, your inner guard that might be either keeping this aspect from you or from the rest of the world. And I want you to set the intention now that you will easily and naturally connect with your intuition, and you will easily and naturally know and become aware of exactly which group is most aligned with you at this time and which messages from each group are truly meant for you, so that you can easily take what you're meant to hear right now and allow that to help you in whatever way it can for your highest good, and to let anything that is not yours go, to simply either let it pass by without noticing it, or to notice and say, that's not for me, that is for someone else, and allow someone else to have their message while you simply take what is for you. And with this, I hope that you feel more relaxed, more in tune with yourself, and more aware of your own inner senses, which will always lead you in the right direction. So, if you are ready, we will, in a few moments, get into the group selection. But if you would like to take some more time to simply meditate by yourself, you can pause the video and come back when you feel ready. Now, for those of you who are ready, let's move over to the group selection. All right, hello, welcome everyone, whether you join me for the brief centering exercise or not. Now let's get into the group selection, where I have 3 dragon cards here, so 3 groups for you to choose from. Again, we will be talking about your hidden treasure, and the reading itself will kick off with your dragon card, whichever one you chose. We'll talk a bit more about that and messages I'm getting from it, and then we will move into pulling a tarot card to represent more about what your hidden treasure is, more about why it's been hidden up until this point, and then another card to represent the benefits of uncovering this treasure and what you can expect to gain from using it or showing it to the world, depending on what messages have come through in previous groups. So we'll get a tarot card for each of those, and then we'll also clarify that with a quote card as well for each tarot card. We'll close out with an angel numbers card message, and that's going to be the whole reading. So without further ado, let's look at the groups. So for group 1, we have this dragon card here called La Tarasque du Rhône. So these are in French, but this says the Tarasque of the Rhône. So the Rhône is just a river in France. I think Tarasque is how you pronounce this, but I'm not sure. But hopefully you can see here, it's kind of like a little turtle guy, like a little turtle dragon. And then for group 2, we have Les Gargouilles. I think that's how you say it in French, but it's gargoyles. So gargoyles is group 2. And then group 3, hardest to pronounce, we have Le Myrtris, I think. Muirdris. And as you can see, it's this kind of like wispy sea dragon. And that is group 3. So those are our groups. Take all the time you need. Go to the timestamps in the description or the pinned comment. Pick your group, and I will see you over in your reading. Hi, group 1. If you selected La Tarasque du Rhône, or the Tarasque of the Rhône, then this is your reading and you're in the right place. And this reading is all about your hidden treasure. So like something that's not so obvious to you, or maybe not so obvious to the rest of the world, that is really valuable and nevertheless is ready to be uncovered. And so I'm going to start by talking a bit about this card, just talk about some messages that are coming through from it, and start to get into what your hidden treasure might be related to. And so with La Tarasque du Rhône, first of all, I believe the keywords in the book were turmoil or upheaval, brutality, and patience. And we have this sort of like almost turtle looking dragon here. And so the idea I got, so the guidebook is in French, and I do speak and read French to an extent, but I'm not like completely fluent. So I was really intending to rely mostly on intuition here, but some of the things I did glean from the guidebook, it seems like La Tarasque is pretty good at camouflage and keeping hidden, and striking when no one notices, basically. So I get the sense that a hidden gift that a lot of you might actually have is hiding, is potentially remaining unseen. I'm actually getting the vibe of someone who's relatively unbothered and able to come off as even unremarkable in certain moments, but in a way that does protect you. It helps keep you safe. I even see you as someone who might be good at hiding from turmoil or upheaval, like avoiding the worst of something, like maybe even benefiting in some ways from chaos around you because you're able to sort of like hide in the shadows, go unnoticed when others are getting really caught up in turmoil. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting here. But we're going to pull a tarot card to actually get more deep into what your actual hidden gift is. So regardless, I feel like it has something to do with that. That's the vibe I'm getting. But there's also a sense of calmness here as well. Even if it's not necessarily like camouflage and hiding, there's a sense of like calmness, groundedness that I'm also getting from this card that could be part of it for you. And I feel like it's possible for some people that this like ability to camouflage or remain hidden could be like strategic. And that's almost why it's like, it's not like necessarily that you don't know this is a thing that you can do. It's more like other people aren't aware of it. And so you might actually be aware of this, or maybe it might even be something that you have like a negative view of, like you don't see yourself as like maybe this is something you don't see as a good thing. Like maybe you do this without realizing that you're doing this. Like maybe sometimes you feel like you're overlooked and you actually see that as a bad thing rather than a potential boon. But it's asking you to start seeing it as a potentially positive thing. And for others of you, it's something that you do without noticing, but like it's more down to your demeanor. Like it's something about your demeanor that leads you to unknowingly be able to like fly under the radar at times. Like you're naturally maybe like very calm in certain situations and you don't realize how that actually benefits you. But there's clearly something here about bringing this to your attention because it might be important for you to actually more consciously call upon this skill in the near future. So we'll learn more about that as we go. But let me move this over to the side and let's start pulling some tarot cards for you. So I'm using this interesting little tarot deck. It's actually, I got it. So I got the dragon cards in Montreal. So that's why the booklet is in French and the cards are in French. And then I also got this deck of tarot cards that is technically actually just a game. Like it's just a tarot card game, which tarot originally was, historically, I think. But so these cards are like, they're like half just regular kind of playing cards, and then they have like extra, the extra like sort of major arcana, but they're different than the normal ones. And honestly, I have not figured out how to play the game yet, so I'm going to basically go based on intuition in terms of if we get any of the major arcana. And also if the original meanings of those cards are called to mind, I will go based off of that. But I just figured it would be fun to use them for actual divination, so that's what I'm going to do, because I don't know how to play the game yet. So, with that being said, let's ask the first question. The first question is, what actually is this hidden treasure? What is Group 1's hidden treasure that's being called to mind here? Let's either confirm or elaborate on what we've already gotten for Group 1. What is Group 1's hidden treasure here? What is Group 1's hidden treasure, please? 5 of Cups. Interesting. Okay. Or 5 of Hearts, you might say. And I'm just going to get all the cards in a row, I think. Why is this hidden? Why has this treasure been hidden? Why has this treasure been hidden? Okay, 8 of Swords, yeah. And why is this being important for group 1 to notice? Like, why is this being brought to their attention right now? What? Okay. Knight of Swords. All right, cool. Ace of Cups on the bottom. I don't know if that's important, but I'm gonna put it over here just in case. And I'm also going to get a quote card. I'm gonna get the quote card to clarify that. I'll get them as we go, but I'm gonna get the first quote card to clarify the 5 of Hearts over here. So can we clarify group 1's gift? Can we clarify this 5 of Cups in this situation? 5 of Hearts. What does this 5 of Hearts mean? Well, that one flew out really quick. I'm gonna take it, but I'm gonna get another one. What is this? Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. So let's start over here with the 5 of Hearts or 5 of Cups. So why has this been hidden? It feels like for most of you, it is kind of what I said before about you seeing this as a weakness rather than a strength, not seeing how it's actually like beneficial to you. And I do feel like, this isn't even answering why it's hidden, but I feel like that is like almost what it is elaborating on for us. It's letting us, it's confirming basically what I was saying before about like your perspective on it, on this gift is what's preventing it from being seen as a gift. Like I know I asked like for further clarification on what the gift is, but like I really do feel like it is at least in part already getting into why it's hidden, because it goes well with the 8 of Swords over here, which we'll talk about in a minute, in terms of why it's hidden from you. But to also elaborate on what the gift itself is, it does have to do with perspective as well. And I feel like it has to do with your ability to I think sometimes, like, you know what it is? I feel like you actually have the ability to see opportunities where other people don't, or see things in a way that is a lot more positive than other people can, which is interesting because the 5 of Cups is often about looking at the sort of like downside of things, but I almost feel like you're able to look at the downside of things and see the upside, and that's what allows you to stay calm through turmoil, or to remain like sort of unremarkable, or it's all okay. You know what it is? It's because you can see both. You know what it is? It's because so you have the ability to see, you can see what's going wrong, and then you can also see what's going right. And you get to choose what you react to. And because you're very good at like seeing the whole situation. So that's what I feel like for some of you, you actually, I think some people might see you as like a very pessimistic person. And other people might see you as a very optimistic person. And it really just depends on like which side of you they happen to get more of. Because you are very good at seeing both sides in most situations. I feel like you, even when you're like, even when you notice like the quote unquote negative side of a situation, it seems like you don't like let that get to you. Like you see it for what it is and you acknowledge it. You don't hide from it. You don't pretend it's not happening. You don't pretend it's not there. But on the other hand, you're also able to turn around and look at the things that you can control, or the things that are working out, or the things that you prefer to focus on, and just like tune out the rest if it's going to get in your way. So it's like, because you're able to acknowledge the negative side of things, if you're in a situation with someone where you bring that up and you're like being real about, you know what, that sucks, or you know what, this is really like ugh, like that's ridiculous, or I can't believe they're doing this or that. Like you're able to have those conversations and talk about what's going wrong or what's bothering you. But then like so some people might see that as like, oh, this person's just like so negative, they're so focused on the negative, but what they don't see is that inside you actually aren't, you don't let it get to you in the way that other people might. So like you might talk about it, you might vent about it a bit, or at least acknowledge it, but you're actually pretty good at then like moving on. And then other people might think, oh wow, you're really so some people are like, oh, like they're so focused on the negative, and then other people get the other side of you where they're like, oh my god, they like move on so easily, like why aren't they more bothered by that, right? Like some people might feel like you should be more upset or more worried or more concerned, and they don't understand why you don't actually express more discomfort or unhappiness, or why you don't linger more on a certain subject. So yeah, so it's both which side of you that people get to see, but it's also the other people's like tendencies, right? So if you get someone who tends to just be like they'd rather like maybe just like look at the bright side and suppress the negative, or even if they're just a very generally like glass half full person, they might see you as a pessimist, because to you you're just kind of being real about a situation and being able to point out the things that aren't working, and then you move on. But they don't see that. But then someone else who's more prone to like catastrophizing and getting caught up in the turmoil, like they see you as someone who is just like a little too clinical, a little too able to just like move past the situation. They might not get to see both sides. And so I feel like this is almost hidden from you, because I don't know if there are a lot of people in your life who are able to see that full picture yet of who you are. And maybe it's just circumstantial, and maybe it's also just down to some of the people that are in your life, like they don't really take that kind of notice. Maybe I could see this being in a lot in a work situation where, you know, people aren't necessarily, at the end of the day, they're not as focused on like dissecting your psyche, because the work needs to get done. So at the end of the day, that's the bigger priority. But they still might subconsciously kind of have one perspective or the other of you based on where they're coming from. Interesting. With that, I also want to talk about the two quote cards here. So we first have this one, which says, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there's any reaction, both are transformed." From The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Yeah, and so I feel like that's what I was just talking about, where other people's personalities sort of like inform how they see this sort of, how they see you in how they see how you handle a certain situation. And either way, it's kind of like everyone is seeing you, like you end up being like the happy medium, basically. And I don't think you are aware of this, but you end up being the happy medium in every situation. It just like depends on what end of the situation people are coming from. They'll kind of see you as the opposite sometimes. That's what I feel like. That being said, in this card with the boat on it says, It is not a failure to readjust my sails to fit the waters I find myself in. The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. Yeah, so that's why I feel like you are so good at like being unaffected or going like under the radar, or just like I'm getting the sense of like when the waters get rough, like you're not really tossed by the waves, because you could see the storm coming and you're good at hiding from it and making your moves, you know, in undercover, so that you're not getting like thrashed about. Whereas other people might see a storm coming and they might like dive right into it and then wonder why they got dashed on the rocks, right? But you just like wait till the perfect opportunity and then you move. And you're very good at seeing, and so it's like, yeah, you're good at seeing the reality of a situation, but not getting too caught up in the like, in either just la-di-da, everything's fine, or oh my god, everything is the worst and like this is so unfair or whatnot. You kind of can remain relatively neutral in a sense. Like it's like one of the, it's like I'm getting like, it's not that deep, right? And so you don't get caught up in the drama, but you also know that it's happening. Like you know that it's there and you're aware of what's going on. I'm almost feeling like it's someone who, like, you step back and you watch from the shadows, maybe, but not because you're trying to be tricky and not because you're trying to get one over on anyone, but just because you're, like, curious, you're observing, and I do feel like for some of you, you might be aware that this is actually like helpful for you, and others of you might not. Like either you don't know that you do this naturally, or you see it in some way as a bad thing, which is why I want to get to the Eight of Swords. And we're also going to get a quote card for that. But yeah, the last thing I want to say though about this Five of Cups and the Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, it's not a failure to readjust my sails to fit the waters I find myself in. It's like I feel like you're able to readjust your, like you're not going to like get caught up in the, oh my god, this turn of events is so unfair, blah 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 blah, like, and get really attached to like the way you were gonna, like, say, you know, you had a week of work where you expected it to go one way and then something happened and you were like, ugh, like this sucks. You might still be like, ugh, this sucks, but you're not going to get so caught up in, oh my god, I was going to do this and it was going to go this way and now I have to change my whole plan. You're not going to get so mad and angry about that you can't just like shift gears and like go with the new flow, right? Like you're able to go with the new flow and also like let it, like not panic and not get like tossed about by the storm, right? Like you swim under the current, or you find your little hiding place. Like you'll shift gears if you need to, because you're kind of protecting your peace, honestly, whether you know it or not. So why has this been hidden from you? Let me clarify this Eight of Swords. Interesting. Okay. So we have this card here, these otters. Okay, so why has this been hidden? The Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords is like, it's, I feel like it's something that you haven't, again, like there's an aspect of like seeing this as some kind of limitation in some way, like not seeing this for the gift it is, or not even being aware that this is a thing that you do at all that's unique. Like you might not realize that, like, oh, that's actually different about me and that's a good thing. Like, and it could be because you have some, like maybe you judge yourself for, maybe some of you might judge yourself depending on who you're interacting with. So I do get the sense with this group there's some projection coming at you from other places where some people might see you as like too calm and collected, and other people might see you as like too pessimistic, and it just depends on the situation and the person that you're interacting with. And you might believe that depending on who you're talking to. Like if someone's really upset and they want you to validate their feelings, like you might not be necessarily good at that because you're too busy just being like, well, you know, it's not like we just got to do this and this and this. And they might just be like, hey, like, I'm really freaking out about this. Why aren't you freaking out? You know, they might be mad about that. And then you might think, oh, shoot, like, maybe I should be upset about this. Maybe I should be freaking out or something like that. Whereas when you're with someone else who's like, oh, come on, like, we don't have to look at it. That's not that. It's fine. Everything's fine. And you're like, well, it's not really fine. Like this, we do have to deal with this. Like this isn't going away. They might be like, ugh, like, you know, you're just such a pessimist. And you might believe that. So either way, you kind of see yourself as like the bad guy or the one in the wrong, even if like it's actually not the case at all. And those are people's projections. It doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong either. And it depends on like if you're trying to have like a connection with someone and they're upset, you don't have to get upset just because they're upset. You can find a different way to communicate. You can say, but it's not about you is what I'm saying. If they're upset and they're having trouble calming down and you want to work with them on that, you can do that without taking on their perspective, right? You can do that without invalidating their experience, but also not taking on their experience as your own. It doesn't mean that you're in the wrong for having a different perspective. So the clarifying card here as well is, we are game-playing, fun-having creatures. We are the otters of the universe. So I feel like, yeah, in a way, it's almost like there's an element here of you being able to not take things too seriously, and not always seeing that as a good thing per se, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that you might feel like sometimes you really should be taking certain things seriously, and it's not that you shouldn't ever, but it is that I think sometimes we don't value enough just the idea of fun, the idea of having fun, and of prioritizing fun in our lives. And I do feel like you are someone who, I don't even get the sense that, like, you might not always see yourself as the most fun person, but I feel like you have the capacity to have fun, and maybe more so than a lot of the people who you've been surrounded with in certain circumstances. I'm really getting like work vibes here, so this might be where a lot of this comes out for you, where like you keep like skirting the drama, you keep like going under the radar and not getting involved in like you might not even get the brunt of like the work even sometimes, because you're pretty good at like avoiding being the one who everything gets dumped on. And I feel like there is an element of that where you might judge yourself for not taking on as much as you should, but I feel like there is a balance with that where you value your fun and free time and personal peace, and there is a lot of strength in that. And I do feel like that's actually something that we'll get to it with when we talk about the Knight of Swords, because we're going to talk about why it's important for you to be aware of this. But I feel like that is going to be a valuable asset to you in the coming months and years, especially with like everything going on in the world. I don't know that there are a lot of people who can keep their cool in that way, and we need that, and we need people who know how to have fun and who do value their personal peace, who can keep a cool head in the turmoil, and who also don't get swept away by the current. So with that being said, why is this important for you to know right now? The Knight of Swords. Let me also get another poke card to round this out. Why is this important for you to know about right now? Like, why is it important for you to be aware of this right now? Can we clarify this Knight of Swords, please? 2 cards, okay. We have this card, Camaro, and we have this card, purple. Okay, so this says Safe as Life from The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And this says, it's okay that you're not okay. Whatever you're feeling is okay. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Yeah, okay, so with the Knight of Swords here, I feel like that makes sense with the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords, being swords, I get the sense of someone who's very cool-headed, very calm, can be very strategic when they need to, and can also be very, like, direct, and even, like, and because of that, can move very swiftly and very cleverly. And this is important because I do feel like you are entering a stage of life where you're meant to potentially be taking more risks or making more bold decisions. And your ability to go with the flow and to not get too caught up in, not get overly caught up in the weather around you, in the circumstances around you, is going to help you be bolder and more direct with your action. So, like, Safe as Life being the quote here, it's like, you're not going to catastrophize or hesitate as much on decisions that are important to you, because you have this sense of, like, again, with the game playing fun having creatures of the universe, it's like you're not getting too caught up in the game. You're like, I am here to have fun, so I'm not going to bog myself down with all the things that could go wrong, or with getting too bitter about the things that don't happen in the way that I expect them to or want them to. I'm willing to take some more risks. I'm willing to throw caution into the wind a bit, and to be smart about it, but also to be cool-headed about it, and to say, also, like, safe as life, right? Like, life, this quote comes from, like, when, I guess, like, characters, I think they're getting into a helicopter, and one of them is like, is this safe? And the other character's like, safe as life, because you're aware of, and you recall that, like, anything can happen at any time. So while theoretically, yes, if you decide to go on like a crazy roller coaster that you're not really like like maybe you're not confident in the how sturdy it is, like you might feel like you're taking your life into your hands more than if you're just walking down the street. But, like, in reality, something could happen to you walking down the street as much as something could happen to you on that roller coaster. And like there's yes, there's not making stupid decisions or not making a decision where in the moment you're like, nah, like I feel the danger, like I intuitively I'm like, that's not right. But it's also like not getting into your head, trying to keep yourself safe, trying to avoid danger or disappointment, because you're just like, anything can happen in life, so I don't need to overthink this. I trust life, I trust myself, and I'm just going to make the decision in the moment that feels right and not get too caught up in making a narrative or getting caught up in a narrative about how it's not fair, how it's not working out, how I made the wrong choice or anything. Like, you are just going to go with it. At the end of the day, you're just going to trust yourself, you're going to trust life, and you're just going to accept whatever happens and accept the weather that you find yourself in. Yes, I feel like you're very good at like accepting where you are in the moment and then making decisions based on that, as opposed to trying to figure out how to avoid this situation or that situation. It's like, no, like in the moment, like I've got this. And that's why also we have, it's okay that you're not okay, whatever you're feeling is okay. You're good at like being neutral or like passively even observing things, not only like the weather outside of yourself, the things that are going on around you, but also like within yourself, realizing, oh, if I do feel disappointed or scared or upset, that is okay. And it's like the weather outside is the same thing as the weather inside. I'm like this Tarrasque. I can adjust my sails to meet that weather, to wade that weather out, and I know that it will always pass. It always does, and I will be okay. You are durable, you have the patience to wait it out, and you're not going to be so shaken by it. And so that's what I really feel is your hidden treasure, like being relatively unshakable in the face of potential chaos or turmoil, in a way that you either are not fully aware of or you've been kind of made to think isn't really a good thing because maybe other people just don't understand it quite as much, and you might be putting a little too much weight on other people's perceptions and projections when you have to understand that that just comes from their perspective. It does not mean that you are incorrect or wrong. And while, yeah, there could be ways that you or they could communicate with each other in a way that would bridge that gap and make things more understandable, at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility to be who other people want you to be, right? And so you don't have to take on other people's ideas about you. Interesting. Last but not least, I just want to say with the Ace of Cups on the bottom of the deck, I do see that as someone who is very open to, I feel like you might not, I don't know if you realize this about yourself. Like, I feel like there is a disconnect in how you see yourself and think about yourself and how you actually are, and also how you actually come across sometimes. So there might actually be people who see this in you as well in your life, but you might not necessarily believe them, because I do feel like there's a part of you that could be unwilling to acknowledge your strengths or like acknowledge things that you once saw as weakness as being a strength. You might have like a kind of like a habit or pattern of just like putting yourself down a little bit. But I do feel like overall, like, you are someone who has the capacity to be deeply optimistic. It's almost like you're very balanced and you can see reality. So you might not come across as optimistic, but there is an optimism within your neutrality, like your ability to remain neutral in the face of turmoil and like move through it. Like, there's an optimism in that's kind of inherent to how you move through the world, that's understated. It's not overt, it's not obvious, and it's definitely not like putting on a face of optimism when you're not actually like feeling it. It's like very genuine, authentic, and understated. And that's what I feel like this Ace of Cups is showing me. Because with this optimism also, you're able to take opportunities as they're presented to you, because you're not caught up in overly negative or overly positive thinking. So like your neutrality allows you to then like truly see a situation for what it is. You know, not the end of the world, not an incredible tragedy, but also maybe not like overestimating the situation, just being very much like, yeah, oh, you know what, that looks like a good opportunity. I'm going to take that in this moment and be happy with what I've got right now, and not get like too far ahead of yourself. Just like really be in that moment and be able to see what is right in front of you, what is valuable and what is not, and choose what you're going to react to and what you're not going to react to. Very cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So to close out, I'm just going to pull a last minute angel card for you, just an angel number card, and that will be it. So group one, let's group one's angel number card to close out. What do we want to leave them with? That's too many. What do we want to leave group? Oh, did I say group two? Group one. What do we want to leave group one with? What is group one's angel card? There are so many angel numbers in this deck. What is the one that we want? Okay, 2. We'll take it. We have 200 with good luck. You make your own fortune in life. Yeah, this totally makes sense with what we just talked about. You have been working hard in life. Sometimes it's necessary to expect good things to come out of that, not just more hard work. Your angels want to send you that lucky break, big opportunity, or moment of respite. What was I just saying about like being able to recognize opportunities? I do feel like maybe for some of you this is a sign there is a big opportunity on your way, or like you just recently have come into something that is a really good opportunity, and this is confirmation that your luck is real, basically. But you have to believe it's coming. Visualize what you want so badly, even if it's frightening to admit what that is. Sit and ponder what life will look like when you get it. And then we have 347 with health. Take care of your health. This is an urging from your angels to take seriously a health matter that you have let fall by the wayside. How you treat your body is important. It shows self-love and care. Reflect now on what you've been avoiding. Make a doctor's appointment or address the concern you've been putting off. One thing I will say is that maybe for some of you, your willingness to trust in life and your ability to like wait certain things out or trust that certain things will pass and get better. Sometimes maybe it could also lead to you putting certain things off in terms of your health, physical or mental. And so I would say take this as a sign if there is anything where you're like, I probably should look into that, that it is time to do so. So take those as encouragements and also advice here. Definitely handle your health if you need to. And I hope you enjoyed this reading. That's all there is. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear how this resonated for you. If you're interested in a personal tarot reading, we do offer those on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, link in the description, along with hypnosis and human design services. My mom is the one who does that. I work with her. And so you can learn more about all that on our website. Thanks again. Have a wonderful life. And I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye. Hi, group 2. If you selected Les Gargoyles, then you're in the right place, and this is your reading all about your hidden treasure. So as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about some messages I'm getting from this card, then we'll get a tarot card to answer the questions: what is your hidden treasure? Why has it been hidden from you? Why is it important to bring it out of hiding? And get quote cards to also clarify each of those cards, and then end with an angel numbers oracle card for any concluding messages. But without further ado, Les Gargoyles. So I'm getting the sense, first, the keywords for this card, if I'm remembering correctly, are courage, I think like internalization or interior, something like that, like something about your interior life, and research, something like that. So like almost like I'm getting the word specifically like reconnaissance, like almost like research, but like almost like in a stakeout or like spy kind of way. It's interestingly similar to something that came through in group 1, although the vibes of both of these readings seem to be quite different. There was an element of like watching and observing from afar, and I almost feel like there's a similar aspect with you, but in your case I feel like this has much more to do with like, because gargoyles are like, I was getting a sense with group 1 of like this being able to like run and hide or like wait out a storm or whatever. With gargoyles, like gargoyles are very stationary, but I'm getting more of like an observer energy where like you're maybe observing the people around you. And there's also a sense of protection. So I feel like for some people this could be a confirmation of protection if from angels or guides or entities like that, if you resonate with that. It could also be a message of just like you are very protected in your life right now, like, but I also get the sense of like you have almost like a natural air about you, like energy about you, that you are a safe person, one, and also two, that also just might like allow you to, like, I feel like you might give off like a vibe of almost like being a little like intimidating or threatening, even if you don't see yourself in that way, or you're not like a conventionally like large person, like something that people might normally see as like intimidating or threatening. It's almost like I feel like you have an energy around you that protects you of intensity or something like that. Something about the way that you look could be significant. About being visible could be significant. Something about being your eyes could be significant, particularly. All those things are coming through as like messages, but also things that could relate to your sort of hidden treasure, right? Because there's a sense that this element of like protection that you might have around you naturally is, I feel like it is kind of hidden almost. And I almost feel like it also extends to other people as well. Like you might be very protective of other people, or you might have the ability to extend your protection to other people. Oh my god, now I'm getting like Bella from Twilight. Spoilers for Twilight. Not that like it's been out for years. I'm sure you are familiar with it, even if you don't want to be. But like when Bella from Twilight, who's at the beginning a human, gets turned into a vampire by the end of the series, she develops her special vampire skill, which is like she's always been hard to read, and like Edward, who can read minds, can never read her mind for some reason. And then when she is a vampire, she can extend that ability to like shield other people around her as well from other vampiric abilities. And so she like can extend her like protection that has always been with her to other people. And like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like you have this ability, whether you are conscious of it or not, to extend like some kind of protection to others. I feel like this could pop up very tangibly in some of your lives, but it also might be like a much more energetic kind of thing, energetic, emotional, like not necessarily like some of you could be in a field where you do protect people, but a lot of you might be more of like in a spiritual sense, in a less tangible sense. So interesting. But let's get further clarification on that and get more information. So first I'm going to get a tarot card from this deck, which by the way, this deck is special. It's weird because it's literally just like this tarot card game, which I think tarot did start as a card game, but like this is just like, these cards are like meant to be playing cards, not tarot cards. And so they are part like a regular card deck, and then they have like the major arcana, but the major arcana aren't the same as regular tarot cards. But I thought it would be fun to use them for divination because I still haven't figured out how to play the game yet. So I got these and the dragon cards and the angel oracle cards that we see later in Montreal. So that's why also the French. But all right, let's find out. What is Group 2's hidden treasure? Let's get further information on this. What is Group 2's hidden treasure? 13, death. But in this deck, it's kind of not really the same as like the regular death card. Obviously. Although maybe these people are at a funeral. It's hard to tell. But we'll talk more about that in a moment. I'm going to keep asking the questions and I'm going to get some quote cards. So why has this been hidden from Group 2 up to this point? Why has this been hidden? Or if not from Group 2, at least from like other people. Why has this been hidden? Why is this a hidden treasure? Why is it hidden? Why is it hidden? Let's see. It's 2 cards. We have 5 is... Oh, heck. Which one is 5? Why can't I think of what 5 is? Oh, I think it's the Hierophant. And the Queen of Pentacles. The Hierophant and Queen of Pentacles. Why has this been hidden from you? Could have something to do with a motherly figure. But we're not going to get into that yet. And then the last one is, why is this being revealed right now? / like, why is it important for you to use it consciously? We have the King of Cups and the 3 of Wands. Interesting. Interesting. Oh. Okay. Knight of Swords on the bottom of the deck. I called the Page of Swords the Knight of Swords in group 1, and I'm realizing that now, and it's bothering me, but, you know, whatever messages were meant to come through came through, so it's fine. Okay. Interesting. So let's... Ooh, whoops, my bad. Sorry. Just dropped something. Hope that wasn't too loud. All right, group 2. Let's get a quote card and clarification of this card number 13 here, which would be associated with the Death card. Can we clarify this card that is meant to represent group 2's hidden treasure? So can we clarify this card, please? Clarify this card. Let's get a quote card to clarify this card, please. What is group 2's hidden treasure? I'm gonna take that, but kind of like for group 1, I'm gonna get another one. What is group? Okay. Interesting. And then we'll get the rest of the quote cards as we go. So you can see on this card here, number 13, 13 is the Death card in traditional Major Arcana, but this is quite different from that. And it appears to be a bunch of people at kind of like a party, a social gathering, people who are mixing it up. In this case, it appears to be kind of like the higher upper classes. Like the reverse is like kind of, it looks like the maids, the sort of servants and things in the house, and this looks like it would be like the high society people. But I'm getting, okay. Some of you, your hidden gift is related to being almost like the wallflower at like a social gathering, or someone who's not as much the center of attention, who might enjoy being part of the group, but might not be the center of the group. Someone who has an eye on all the goings on, has an eye on everyone around, and I do get the sense that this relates to how you relate to other people, because I get the sense that this allows you to really tap into people's energy without, whether you're consciously doing this or not, tap into other people's energy and get a actual like good feel for who they really are and what's really going on with them. And I feel like this allows you to not make necessarily snap judgments about people, but wait until you have like adequate information, or just like allow things to unfold as they do. Allow yourself to really get a feel for the energy and the vibes, and therefore get a more well-rounded perspective on people. As opposed to like, you know, someone might have one interaction with another person and just assume things about them based on that one interaction, and then always have this idea of that person in their minds for the rest of time. It's like, no, I feel like you might have a really good sense for people, but you also are aware of how things change based on context, how people's energy changes based on like the day. And so you actually observe over time, like you gather information and you pay attention to the energy in the moment as well. And so you're very good at sussing people out, but it's not like a fixed thing where you're just like, oh, I figured this person out and I always have it figured out. It's like, because you are very good at observing people and understanding people, you also know that people are not fixed. Energy is not fixed. And so you're always open to learning something new, seeing something or someone in a new light or new energy, and like going based on the in the moment vibe. I feel like you can really tap into the vibe, and part of it is like you have a really good eye. I did mention eyes earlier. Let me read your cards. So first we have this black card here, and the quote says, "Always be reading something," he said, "even when we're not physically reading. How else will we read the world? Think of it as a constant." From Autumn by Ali Smith. Yeah, I think you're really good at reading the room. You're really good at reading the room. You're really good at reading people. That's what I get. I mean, maybe you even are quite social. Maybe you can be the center of attention, but still, I feel like you do have your moments. Like, you might be someone who, like, will go out and, like, dance a bit at a party, and then you might hang back and, like, just watch other people for a bit and just get, like, a vibe on what's going on with others. Like, or even if you're in the midst of doing something, people might not realize that you've also got your eye on, like, what's going on with them, because it seems like you're occupied, but, like, I feel like you've got the ability to really work the room or, like, observe the room, even if it looks like you're busy. We've also got this card here, which says, expectations were like fine pottery. The harder you held them, the more likely they were to crack. From The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Which I feel like speaks to what I was saying about not having, like, because you're so good at reading people, you also don't have a fixed idea of people. Because you are very open to the ways in which people and energy changes from moment to moment. And you're very aware of context. And aware that there's always context for people that you don't have in the moment. And so reading a certain energy, like, you might feel like, oh, this person's energy doesn't feel good. And there might be a part of you that's tempted to assign a reason to it. But you have been around the block enough to know that that's not always the case. Or maybe you just innately, intuitively, instinctively are aware of this, and it might not be conscious for you, but you, like, don't fall back on that as, like, this is this person's personality. Like, you allow things to unfold, and you trust that, like, if there's something that is, like, going on that you need to be aware, like, that's not kosher, that you're not really happy with in terms of someone's personality, like, you'll be able to avoid that. You'll know, but you don't jump to conclusions. You don't necessarily judge a book by its cover or judge someone by just, like, one interaction. Like, you're very aware of how things shift and change, and so, like, that's what you don't, like, you don't let expectations of people get in the way of assessing them. So why has this been hidden from you? I mentioned something about a mother figure. We have, like, kind of like a Hierophant and the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles can sometimes feel very motherly to me. And then we also have this, like older woman and child, and then, like, another maybe teenager or someone here. So I'm feeling like this could be a mother, potentially. And I feel like this has been hidden from you, maybe because, so some of you might resonate with, like, if you had a mother figure in your life, or not necessarily a mother, but could be, like, a spiritual, like, guide, or, like, someone, it could be a feminine energy that you look up to, or has given you advice in terms of spirituality, who might have just, like, okay, in some cases, maybe there's someone who's led you astray, or, like, made you distrust your own senses, like, distrust your own ability to, like I'm feeling like, for example, if there's someone in your life who they think that they have a really good grasp on other people, but their perspective ends up being very different from yours, and you just think, oh, well, this person says they're really good at reading people, so they must be right and I must be wrong. But I actually feel like that's not the case. And so this might be someone who doesn't have the same kind of insight that you do, or comes at things from a very different perspective. And so you were trusting them over your own intuition, and that might not actually have been correct. So maybe you assumed that you had more to learn than you do, or you assumed that you weren't as accurate as you were because you were listening to this person above yourself. I feel like in some cases, this could represent some kind of, like, ancestor or guide on the other side who purposefully kept this from you. Maybe because there were certain lessons you needed to learn. In some cases, it could be like I do feel like in a lot of cases, alive or dead, this is like for some people, this could be a misguided energy who thought they were helping you, who thought that they were right, and they just had more to learn than you do, but they didn't realize that. Like, they're on a different page than you are. And so it doesn't even necessarily mean that they're wrong instead of you. It's more like they thought that their insight was more valuable to you than it was. Or maybe, like, for example, maybe they're getting a bad vibe from someone, and that's actually fine, because in this case, for some reason or another, they're just not a match to that person. They're not maybe meant to interact with that person, but maybe you are. And so maybe you get a different vibe. Maybe you get, like, you have a different perspective on them. Maybe there's some way in which you and this other person would benefit each other that, like, just wouldn't be the case for that other person. So that other person tells you what they feel and believe based on their reading of the situation, but it's actually only for them. It's their reading and their perspective and valuable to them, but it doesn't really apply to you. And so, like, they might tell you that, and you might think, oh, maybe I'm wrong and they're right. But no, you're meant to be following your own intuition, your own assessment of the situation, and your own assessment of the situation just might be different than theirs. And it's like you might both be right, but one's intuition is not necessarily right for the other in this instance. That's almost what I'm feeling. I do get for some people, like, there could be like an immature like figure who might have the best of intentions or might not even have the best of intentions, but I don't get like a malicious vibe. It's like, for some people, in some cases, it's just a little immature, or someone who just like they think they know what's going on and they don't, or they might project on you, like this could be like a motherly figure who projects on you like that you're a little bit less capable or younger than you are. Like they might try to mom you. Could even be like a mom friend type who just tries to take care of everyone, and you actually need to be able to like do your own thing because you actually have the skills and the capabilities to take care of yourself in this situation and know what's right for you and what's not. And like, it's time for you to learn to trust your own abilities, basically. This has been hidden from you just by accident, really, just by virtue of like someone else, I think, trying to step in and tell you what to do, maybe with good intention, but just like they don't actually have all the answers that you need. And they might have actually been part of an important lesson for you. I don't feel like this is someone who really had like a bad intention. In some cases, this could even be like a spiritual teacher or someone you follow online or something who whose work has helped you. And maybe in some cases you've outgrown it. So you were going based on their channelings or intuition or whatever, and then you got to a certain point where you don't need that guidance anymore because you've kind of transitioned into a new stage of life. And so now like that is getting in the way of your next level as opposed to helping. But again, like I don't feel like this is like malicious or anything, and it's something that you are meant to overcome so that you can grow into trusting your own self. Like I feel like it's at a certain point they actually were even maybe helping you to an extent, but like now it's just not helping. I got a clarifying card as well, so I got this card. Yeah, so there's definitely a sharing of knowledge that's happening here, sharing of experience. And I got, those who truly seek wisdom are those who will acknowledge the virtue in their adversaries and who will learn from those who disabuse them of their error. From The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, which makes sense with what I just was talking about someone who, like, I do feel like there's a sense in which even if someone was misguiding you in a sense, like you were meant to learn from that situation and you did. And even if their perspective is different than yours and their intuitions aren't always for you, there is still something to be gained and learned from that person or their experience. And at the same time, there's also something here about maybe there's someone who, like I feel like you are someone who is a little bit more comfortable than other people might be with the diversity of people around you. I don't mean just like on the surface level diversity. I mean like diversity of opinions, ideas, and personalities. And so, and this could be not just even one specific person. It could be like societally, there's a lot of people and religions or politics or whatever that don't preach being comfortable with diversity, right? There might be a lot of like organizations or people. I do feel like a lot of, for a lot of you, there are specific people who will resonate as this, but like, I get the sense that you are someone who is more comfortable being in all different kinds of energies. And there are some people who are not comfortable with being in all different kinds of energies yet. They haven't grown to that place. They aren't able to hold their own in that space. And so some of the guidance you might have received has been from people who are just not on that level. Like they are just more uncomfortable with certain kinds of energies than you are. And so the way that someone else comes off to them is going to feel more negative than it would to you because you're not threatened by like the other person's vibe. You're able to be very neutral, observant of like where another person's at, their energy, and not feel threatened by it and not take it on as your own. And that allows you to learn from those people. Like you are, I think you might be more excited by the differences that you find in other people because you know that there's something to learn from that and you're curious. I feel like you're curious. Again, like there's the idea that you don't foist your own expectations on other people, or like use your first impression as the deciding factor in whether or not you like someone or not. It's like almost like you're much more neutral than that. You're curious. You like to observe like all the facets of a person, right? And see all the different sides and see all the different angles and see all the different ways that you can interpret the person, that they're interpreting you, learn all the different ways that they've been shaped by their reality. And you don't see that as much of a threat as someone else might. And so that's where I feel like, yeah, you might not have always valued that aspect of yourself or understood how valid that was for you to do, because there is a lot of rhetoric, especially in like spiritual circles, about projecting your energy and like other people like, oh, that's bad vibes and this and that and whatnot. And like, sometimes that might work for certain people. Certain people might need that. But like you, again, there's this idea of protection. Like you are safe enough. You have strong enough energy to hold space for a lot of different types of people and not see things very black and white, you know? Like you will know if something's not for you or someone's not for you because it will not be in your life, or it will not stay in your life, or it will only come into your life at certain times to teach you certain things, but you're not threatened by it. You're not afraid of it. You don't feel like you need to go. Like I feel like you're not someone who is really big into like the culture of like cutting people off. Like you give the vibe of someone who's not going to just be like I need to like cut this person off. I need to set these boundaries, whatever, because I feel like I think you naturally don't really let your boundaries be crossed, and you don't take people too seriously, even when they like try to. Like you're very good at, I feel like, subtly diverting any kind of breach. Like I think your boundaries are actually pretty solid, but they're natural. They're not very in your face. You're not trying too hard because it's just part of who you are. Again, like that protection thing, like you're very protected. Yeah. And so like if you wanted the confirmation that you don't have to, like, maybe there's a certain person that you feel like their advice isn't vibing with me. Like, I think that like maybe they seem really wise and really like they have a lot of good spiritual wisdom, but not all of it is for you. Yeah, this is your sign to trust yourself, trust in your energy, and trust in what you've got. You don't have to buy into any like fearful rhetoric or any ideas that other people have that are just like too black and white, especially when it comes to other people and other energies. Like I feel like it's that 13 is also like the death card. Like I feel like you're kind of chill with things that might seem more negative. Like you're chill with both sides, and you can be very neutral about it, balanced about it, and feel very safe in all different kinds of settings. With that being said, let's talk about why this is important for you right now. We have the King of Cups and the Three of Wands. And I feel like this has to do with your emotional maturity. Like, King of Cups is the pinnacle to me of emotional maturity, and the Three of Wands can be about like it's about sending your ships out, but also watching them come in. I feel like there's it's a combination for you of like you've reached a certain level of maturity, and this emotional maturity is related to how you respond to other people, right? How safe you feel in and around other people, because like your emotions are also your energy, and if your energy is like unthreatened and your emotions are unthreatened by other people, like you're going to come off as probably more mature and balanced and well-rounded, because you're not going to be constantly reacting to everyone. You know, you're not going to be in fear. And I feel like you have reached this point where you might be ready to take certain steps you weren't before because of this level that you've reached, consciously or not. And like with the Three of Wands, I feel like you're seeing the benefits of this. You're reaping the rewards of this. You're seeing the benefits of some of this progress that you've made, because maybe you haven't always felt this way, but I feel like it's something that comes very naturally to you now. And I feel like you're seeing the rewards come from that. And you're also having the opportunity to like start new ventures soon that you're able to take on now because you've reached this level. It's like you are this King of Cups, and so now you feel more comfortable like putting yourself out there in a way you weren't before, starting a new business, or maybe becoming a guide for other people, or like maybe you're already like a therapist or a life coach or something, and you're leveling up in some way, and putting yourself out there more in that field. I feel like it doesn't have to be that, but I feel like you are leveling up in some way, like taking on more opportunities and naturally sending out the vibe of like, yeah, I'm here, I'm open, I'm ready to interact with all these different people, to interact with all these different energies, and to create a safe, emotionally supportive environment. For some people, the specific message that came up as well is becoming a parent. Some of you might find that you're ready to do that, and that came through as well. And that could also just be a metaphor for like you're ready to take care of yourself and people in a new way, which is really nice and feels like it will be important to either your career or, like I said, like becoming a parent, something that you want to do in your life. So I also got something with animals as well, or working in like some kind of field where you're dealing with children a lot. But also could be adults as well. I feel like you are someone who can just deal with a lot of different kinds of people and meet them where they're at, and you're very solid in your own energy. Lastly, I do want to just get into the quote card to clarify this, if there's any further clarification for why this is, because I think it's meant to become unhidden because you're meant to use it in like your everyday life. You're meant to use this like versatile ability to interact with all different kinds of people, be comfortable in your own skin and your own energy, and be neutral towards other people. So you're supposed to use this in your day-to-day life in some way and in an expanded way. Any other clarifications for this King of Cups and Three of Wands, please? Anything else we want to clarify here? Anything else? Okay, we'll take these. Yeah, this makes sense. Okay, first, let's look at this one. We have this like kind of sprout coming up with some roots here. And we have creativity, like human life itself, begins in darkness. So this is from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I feel like this is like with gargoyles here and like the 13, which is associated with the death card. I do feel like a lot of this has been cultivated behind the scenes in darkness. Might not be obvious to the people in your life or to the greater world around you, but I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you're just about to see the seedling sprout above the ground. And that is you and your emotional maturity, your energetic strength, actually being used in a more obvious, more grounded, more official way. So I feel like, yeah, you're meant to trust in also like, even if you haven't been like consciously doing certain practices and building your emotional maturity, like it's kind of like that's been going on in the background, like in the subconscious, in the innermost parts of you, like that's how you've been growing naturally. And now it's like you're starting to see the signs of that, signs of life, the signs of that growth and signs of that maturity. Yeah, it's about maturing and growth, and you're seeing the tangible results of that growth that in some cases you've been working towards, and also you're not always consciously aware of how you're growing in every moment, but you have been, and you're gonna like really see that soon if you haven't already. And then we have this card which says, how could you insult a witch? What would it matter if you could? And this says, if a witch needs something, another witch will give it to her. If there is a war to be fought, we don't consider cost one of the factors in deciding whether or not it is right to fight, nor do we have any notion of honor. An insult to a bear is a deadly thing. To us, inconceivable. How could you insult a witch? What would it matter if you did? Yeah. An insult to a bear is a deadly thing. To us, inconceivable. How could you insult a witch? What would it matter if you did? From The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. Exactly. This like ability to just be so yourself and so like neutral towards other people's energy, where you don't take things as insults. You don't feel like threatened by other people's thoughts and ideas and the way that they say things. And even if someone intended to insult you or intended to put you down, I feel like you are much more used to being in this energy of just like strength and maturity, that it just does not impact you, because you're so like, there's this sense of being so firm in yourself that like nothing's really going to shake you because your roots are deep, right? Like we have that little seedling. Your roots are strongly formed and fully grown. And so like someone can't just pull you out of the ground. Like you are so rooted in yourself that it's just like I feel like to you, it's not even like you're just like, oh yeah, you know what, like screw those people. Like they can say what they want. Like you're not even defensive like that, right? You don't even react. It's just like, and that might not be like all the time, every single day, right? We have our bad days, but I feel like overall, you're just in this place where you're very neutral about those kinds of things. And like, you just laugh it off because you kind of just see it as like, oh, like that's funny that they like, you don't even take it seriously. Like, I feel like you can, if anything, you can tap into the beautiful soul that exists in all people and not take seriously the human stuff that exists on the surface that like is meant to get under your skin, but like you can't, because you're just so solid in yourself. And for some of you, you might resonate with literally being a witch. So like that's different than the witches in the Golden Compass universe, but I got the specific, like, you don't have to resonate with this at all, but I also got this specific example of how, like, if you identify as a witch or whatever, some people are like, oh my god, like, witch? Like, oh, if someone called me a witch, like, that's such an insult, or like people like use that as an insult, or they think like witchy things are like devil's work or whatever. And I just feel like you're the kind of person who would take it as a compliment. Like, you're unfazed. Yeah, like you just wouldn't care if someone like had a problem with like you being a witch. You're just like, cool, that's fascinating perspective, right? But it's just not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna hit. Yeah, it's like it doesn't even phase you. There's no I'll show that person. Like, no, like there's none of that. You're just like, you're like, okay, sure, and then you go about the rest of your day and you don't even think about it, which is great for you. Again, it's just like, it's like that protection is natural, it's energetic. Like, I get the sense that maybe some of you resonated with being very protected at a certain point in your life, or having like angels or guides protecting you, or you used to call on protection a lot, and now you feel like you don't need to, because you almost feel like you built your own, like, maybe that helped you feel sturdy and strong in yourself at a certain point, and then you kind of built your own like baseline of safety, and now you bring it with you wherever you go, into any kind of interaction. So to close out group 2, I'm going to get a angel number oracle card. So what is the... No, I'm not getting... Pop it out again if it needs to come out, but I don't think that's the one. What is group 2's angel number card? How do we want to close this reading? What is group 2's angel oracle card? What is group 2's... Okay, 411. Important relationships. See the value in those you love. You are called to select one relationship close to you and nurture it in an attentive and loving way. Think about how to tell a loved one how much you care for them, appreciate them, and see them in your life. Make time for them today as you communicate how important they are to you. Aw, yeah, so you know what? I feel like this makes sense, because I feel like this is something, like I said, like, your ability to really love and see people for who they are, no matter like what vibes they're giving off. I feel like it's something that's really valuable, but doesn't always come out or come across. Like, people might not actually know how much you care about them, because I get the sense you're someone who can really care about a lot of people deeply, and you have a lot of love to give, whether you see it that way or not. Like, it's kind of like even just your attention or your respect, your ability to remain neutral and be unfazed by people in their worst moments is like a gift. And people don't understand that that's a sign of your love and affection and care, and like might not see it because it's just not overt, right? They might not realize that like you've built a lot of this emotional maturity, not only for your sake, but for all of everyone else's too, because it benefits everyone when you are able to be this kind of person, and it helps you be there for people more effectively. And so because I feel like you are also at this point where you're stepping out and using this more, especially in a more official way in your life, you're being encouraged to allow this to show more and shine more in your relationships. And so you might be at a place where there still could be certain conversations you're afraid to have because they feel like they'd be difficult. And at a certain point, maybe you felt like you weren't mature enough to handle certain conversations, or maybe you felt funny, like being too vulnerable or emotionally open with people. But because you're at this level, at this stage, you're ready for that, and that's kind of your next step. And so maybe for some of you, there is a specific relationship that you know you need to have a certain conversation in, or that you want to use as a jumping off point to really expand how deep you get with other people. But I feel like there's like more people are ready to see this side of you, to understand how deeply that you care, and also to understand how deeply you think about and consider the human condition, and how deeply able you are to empathize and understand others in all different kinds of energies and mental states. And so there might be some people who need to hear that from you, or who it would behoove you to have like a deeper conversation with, that maybe you've wanted to have for a while, and it hasn't been the right time, but like maybe now it's the right time because you're ready. you can trust yourself. You are mature enough, you are brave enough, and you're strong enough to invite that kind of energy and hold space for other people on that level. So that's all we have for you, Group 2. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you found this valuable and helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear how this resonated with you. If you are interested in a personal reading, we do offer those on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, link in the description, along with hypnosis or human design readings, which my mom does the human design, and so if you're interested in that, I'm working with her. All of that's on our website. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye! Hi, Group 3. If you selected this card here, the M1 with the little kind of wispy sea serpent on it, then this is your reading all about your hidden treasure. As I mentioned, I'll talk a little bit about this card and some impressions I have from it. Then we will ask directly from the tarot, what is your hidden treasure? Why has it been hidden? Why is it important to know about now? And we'll also get quote cards to clarify those, and we'll close with an angel oracle card. So without further ado, let's take a look at this card here. Le Mur. It's French. It's really hard for me to pronounce. I don't know. I mean, I actually do speak a little bit of French and stuff, but like this is just particularly difficult to pronounce. But one thing I will say is that I do feel like your hidden talent is like quite literally something that's under the surface and maybe even subconscious for you. It's possible that that's the case for all the other ones as well. But like I'm getting like lurking just below the surface. Like I feel like there's like this hidden power that you have that like it's like on the surface, like it's like you're like in this little boat and in this vast ocean, and it seems like you would be like powerless, but it's almost like this dragon lurking beneath the waves is actually your power. Like I'm not getting anything specific right now on like what that is, but like there's this overall sense of power, of ability. And it might be as of yet subconscious for a lot of you, or at least most of it is. There's also something about like serenity, calmness, and also for some of you, the jellyfish might be an important creature. So that could be confirmation for some people. Yeah. We're going to have to definitely get into the cards to really dig into more with this one. So let's just do that. Let's just get right into it. So I'm going to use these tarot cards here. I mentioned in the other groups, they're actually from this like tarot card game deck, because tarot like did used to be a game. Like that's how it originated. But apparently like they sell decks as just like tarot card games, and so this is like half like a normal card deck, and then there's also like the major arcana, but they're not like the original major arcana, they're like different, but I figured I'd use it for divination, so that's what we're doing. So first question we're going to ask is, what is Group 3's hidden treasure? What is their hidden treasure? Whoa. Okay, we have the 9 of Wands. What is I'm just going to get all of the tarot cards. What is the reason that this has been hidden? Why is this a hidden treasure? 4 of Cups, and that popped out really fast. I was going to ask, why is this important now? And I'm going to take this. I'm going to get another card though. Why is this important now? Okay. 7. What is the 7? What is the 7 in traditional tarot? 6 is the Lovers. 7 is what? What is 7? We'll come to that. We'll come back to that later. It's on the tip of my tongue, but we'll talk about it later. Death is on the bottom of the deck. I haven't really talked about that in every group, but like I'll put it there just in case. All right. So just to get started with the 9 of Wands, I definitely was getting like a sense of like power there, but specifically resilience is what comes through with the 9 of Wands a lot. there's a lot of resilience in you, and that I feel like, yeah, it's almost like on the surface, you're very calm. It appears like you have like a calm life or exist in calm waters, but it's possible that some of you have been through a lot of things other people can't see or don't know about, or just like it isn't obvious on the surface how resilient you are, like how much you can actually handle. And either that means that's like, I feel like that can manifest in a lot of different ways for people in this group. Let me get a quote card to clarify this Nine of Wands, though. Can we clarify this Nine of Wands, please? That's too many. That's too many. Can we clarify this Nine of Wands, please? Let's clarify this Nine of Wands. Can we clarify this Nine of Wands, please? Okay. Yeah, we'll take, what is this, 2? Yeah, we'll take these 2. Okay, so we have mystery, not mastery, and then we have this card. So I'll read this one first. So this says, in filling the well, think magic, think delight, think fun. Do not think duty, do not do what you should do. Spiritual sit-ups like reading a dull but recommended critical text. Do not do what you should do. Spiritual sit-ups. Oh, okay. I think I messed up the punctuation in this, but I think I understand how it's supposed to read now. Okay. Do not do what you should do. Spiritual sit-ups like reading a dull but recommended critical text. Do what intrigues you. Explore what interests you. Think mystery, not mastery. From The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Yeah, so this is saying like don't just do what you think you should do in order to like get ahead or like succeed or quote unquote improve or like reach mastery. Like follow your fun, follow your true interests, things like that. And then we have this card here, which says creativity occurs in the moment, and in the moment we are timeless. From The Artist's Way, also by Julia Cameron. So yeah, okay, with this Nine of Wands, and I was getting the idea of resilience, and now we're getting like mystery, not mastery, like thinking magic and fun instead of like duty and like due diligence, like I should do this or I should do that. And being creative in the moment. It feels like, yeah. Okay, so there is resilience in that because I almost feel, I get the sense that you may have been through a lot to come to the place that you're in now when it comes to your ability to be in the moment and think creatively, think on your feet, and be present for what life presents you as opposed to following some kind of map or prescribed path. And so you might be someone where there could be like a lot of people could look at your life and think, oh, like that person's got no problems, or like, man, how is that person able to be so chill and relaxed and just like do whatever they want? And the people might not see or understand how much it's taken you to get to the place where you appear to be this really present, calm, in the moment person. I do feel like you've actually built the stamina to be that person, because it sounds nice to just be like, oh, just follow fun and creativity and just like do whatever you want and like trust the universe and like whatever. But in order to actually do that, a lot of people need to put in the work and persistence in order to like do that from a place of actual trust and calmness. Like you have to kind of go through the bullshit of like fear and feeling like you're doing something wrong, and being able to sit with yourself and sit in silence and sit in the moment and not do anything and trust that that is still valuable time, that is not a waste of time, in order to actually like live that life and be relaxed in it. Right? And you don't have to be an artist for this to be the case, but, you know, in the life of an artist, for example, a lot of people don't follow art as a passion, as a career, because they feel like, you know, a lot of us were taught the narrative that art doesn't pay, or you have to be like 1 in a million in order to like make money off your art, and it's not a sensible field, and creativity isn't actually that valuable, even though like people still pay like so much money for art and things like that. Like we get like mixed messages, right? And this idea that it's frivolous or not important, and yet it's actually like one of the most important things to a lot of people. And just there's so many misconceptions about it, and so a lot of people are afraid to follow that path, to go down that, to indulge their creative urges. And so when someone actually decides to do that and go for it, it often takes overcoming a lot of those misconceptions, a lot of those preconceived ideas, and a lot of the ideas of what we think that we should do as people in a certain society. And of course, we all have different ideas about what that is, depending on who we were raised by, where we were raised, and the cultures that we're in. And yet there's a lot of like anything that's too prescriptive or too structured in a way that that doesn't allow for the flexibility of life, of creativity to come through, can get in the way of us feeling comfortable in that space. And you are someone who feels comfortable in that space. And you might be like, I don't know if I feel comfortable in that space. And I have to tell you that even if you still don't feel totally comfortable in that space, you are more comfortable in that space than a lot of other people are. And even if you are like, well, I'm actually quite uncomfortable. It's like, but you're aware of that, and you're able to sit with it, and you're doing the thing anyway, to some extent, to whatever extent that you are, like in that discomfort, like you are actually still able to be present with that. And that is something that a lot of people can't do or haven't gotten the nerve to do yet. And you can weather that and can be in that moment and allow that creativity, the creativity of life or of art or of whatever it is that you are doing in the moment to strike you. Like it takes a lot of resilience, and that is a real superpower. And so I feel like that's why on the surface it looks like chill, calm, fun, or whatever, and underneath that, and it looks like maybe even unremarkable in some ways, right? So I mean, in some cases, like maybe you're creating some kind of art, or you have like, I feel like to anyone who's really paying attention, or to anyone who's really your person or meant to be like touched by you in some way in your life, it is very impressive and valuable, and people are kind of in like low-key awe of it. But I do feel like it might be very understated for a lot of people, where it's like on the surface it might look relatively unremarkable because you make it look kind of easy and just simple, but underneath it there's so much like work that's gone into that. There's so much that you've overcome, and then there's so much power behind it. Like it's an understated form of power to be able to be this calm. Honestly, a lot of like each of these groups I feel like has some kind of like similar message underlying the specifics, which is just this like really solid foundation, this like really sturdy sense of self. And it shows itself maybe in different ways and is important in different areas of life, but ultimately I keep getting this feeling of something very solid underneath that that like some of you are aware of, some of you aren't, but it's not very obvious to the outside world, and yet it's like an underestimated or understated form of power. Yeah, and again, it's like a form of resilience that might not be very recognizable, right? Because people could see resilience in like a very literal sense when it comes to someone who's been through a lot of like really obvious hardships, or like someone who is in like a really demanding field and they just keep at it and they keep going, and they're really like, they give off this like really strong vibe, or like an athlete who like, you know, can lose one match and then come back and keep going the next day. Like they have resilience in that they don't let that one thing get to them. Like they just keep moving on, and they come back from anything. And I feel like in your case, it's most likely not as obvious that is who you are. And it might not even be obvious to you, because I feel like you haven't been in situations that are overtly like people. It's not like you're like performing in front of everyone and they're watching you do this. It's kind of like a day-to-day, daily thing, a daily kind of resilience. And you have built up that strength over time. So it's also not just all in one fell swoop. Like you've shown your stuff, or you've had this like one test, quote unquote, of like courage or strength. It's like it's something that has accumulated through your experiences because you've, knowingly or not, allowed it to. And so moving over here with why has this been hidden from you with the Four of Cups, simply I just feel like you haven't noticed it. Like you haven't noticed. Either you haven't noticed or other people haven't noticed, right? And it doesn't feel like it's in a self-deprecating way, like the Eight of Swords might be for another group. That's what we got there. It's more like in a just like missing the point kind of way, like just missing, just like not seeing it. It's just been kind of invisible to you. And I got this card here. And this says, you know the worst thing is that I fucking love you. I love you. And this one says, and then the response says, it'll pass. And it's really interesting that this came out because because I do feel like for some of you, it's kind of similar to something that came out in group 1 as well. There's a wisdom that I feel like might come very naturally to you, and it might not always have. I said something also similar in group 2. Like the messages are really feeling like they're coming full circle today. Like they're very tight knit. But it's like this ability to let things pass, to know that things will pass. And I feel like for you, it's either very natural to you now, or it has always been natural to you, and so you overlook it because it's like, well, it's not in your face all the time because you're just already good at it, or you have been for a long time. And so you either forget or you don't see it as something like that's valuable or important. You just overlook it. That's the vibe that I'm getting. And it's something that if you were to talk to other people about it, a lot of other people would say, well, I can't do that, or I don't relate to that, or it's really hard for me to like let things go, let things pass, right? Like if I mess something up in the moment, like if I say like even just the small things, right? Like saying something and then feeling embarrassed about it, like even if it's just a small thing, like someone might not let that go for years. And I feel like you're someone who either has always been able to let that kind of thing go or has learned just to let things like that roll off your shoulders. And I feel like it became so natural for you that you just forget that that's not how everyone lives. And so you don't know what a superpower that is because you're not having this stuff like chipping away your energy. Again, you're just very resilient. You're like, all right, well, I'll come back. Like, oh, well, I'll let that pass. It's probably not a big deal. If I don't make a big deal out of it, then it's not a big deal. And then you just like let it go. And like with this quote from Fleabag, it's like the idea that even if you do feel like heartbroken over something, you feel that sense of loss, you also know it'll pass. And probably because you've experienced that in various ways in your life before, and you've really just built up this resilience, because it's like, it feels like you are someone who, like, you don't let those kinds of things break you down, because at the end of the day, I feel like you always find a way to make it another brick in your foundation. You know, like you might be sad, things might shatter you for a little while, but eventually you're always going to turn that into something valuable and use it to grow yourself. And this could, again, like be almost a subconscious or just very natural process to you at this time that like, you just forget that either you once found this difficult or that it's not a given that every person lives that way, you know? You just like don't see it from the outside. And yeah, so why is this important for you? Well, with the Four of Wands coming out, I feel like that speaks actually to, because it kind of came out like before I asked why. So I feel like it could also go with the why has it been hidden from you? Because it's part of your foundation. It's just like part of fundamentally who you are. And so even if you didn't always feel like you were that person, once you integrated it into yourself, like it became natural, like you integrated it into your foundation. But I also feel like, why is this important for you to know right now? I feel like it's important because you're supposed to be aware that this is part of your foundation, that like you have this foundational strength, this foundational resilience. What is this card? The 7. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm blanking on this. It's not... Lovers is 6 and Justice is 8. What is in between those two cards? I need to, what is 7? Oh my God, the Chariot. Okay. Yeah. The Chariot. Okay, well that makes sense because I feel like there is a lot of stability in the chariot. Even though it's like a chariot, it's a moving vehicle, like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith has like someone who's like very sturdy, like the chariot itself is very stable. And I almost feel like it's someone who's like, they're like on their path. They're on their track. Yeah. So it's almost like, I feel like I'm getting this really interesting message about someone who has been like laying a road. And it's like you've been laying this brick road, and now the road has been laid, and now you're ready to walk on that road. So it's almost like you've been laying the foundation for your path, and now you're ready to like walk, or in the case of the chariot, like ride down that road. And so like you already have the path is pre-built. The foundation is built for you. You just gotta like stay on the road, and that's it. And so this is important because you're meant to see and it's also because you're almost like seeing how the path has been laid out behind you. Like you're looking back and reflecting and being like, oh, I understand how all of my experiences leading up to this point have actually made sense and built the foundation of who I am today so that I can then continue on this road. And now you're like, you couldn't see the road before or the bigger picture of it. And now like you're becoming aware of this so that you can actually see the road and then know that you're on the right path and then stay on that path. Let me just see what these little dudes are doing in this thing. They're having like a little picnic, it looks like, in this card. They're having like a little picnic, like they're chilling out. It's like converse to the people who are like inside reading over here I think they're reading like a letter. These people are like on the road, they're like outside. Looks like they're cooking something. So I feel like there's something here about you still very, very much being you're in your element. Because I almost like feel like these people are out in the elements. Maybe they're camping a bit, but like you're in your element. Like you're someone who doesn't need a lot of shelter per se. It's similar to group 2 as well. Like I feel like all these are so tied together. But you don't need like the extra shelter. Like you're happy on your path, in your element, and it might not make sense to other people, but it makes sense to you, and that's the most important part. Let me get another quote card to just clarify any more messages from this section. So, why is this ready to be unhidden? I also feel like other people will be really inspired by what you end up doing, just by like the nature of how you do the thing. Like it's almost like you just stay on your path, and then other people take value from that. What quote card can clarify this? Is there any, can you clarify any more? This, 4 wands and 7, chariots. Okay, we have this card here, and this says, for someone who loved words as much as I did, it was amazing how often they failed me. Yeah, and this to me actually is talking about like being able to explain yourself. And I feel like it's one of those situations where, okay, and it's like on the one hand, right, your life is starting to make sense. Like if you look back at your life from this perspective of like building a foundation of power and resilience, then a lot of the things that you've been through and the way that you've handled them in the past, and then also how you've come back from things, makes sense. And like it will look different for all of you because wherever your path is leading you is going to be different. And so like if you spent years training to be an athlete and then you became an athlete and like won a gold medal, like obviously you could see that trajectory. But I feel like for a lot of you it's a lot less obvious and a lot less tangible and a lot less like linear. So you might be able to look at it and be like, oh, so I learned this instrument and then totally dropped that because of this. And then I had that experience years later because of that. And those things tied together. And then also because I had this experience and that experience. And like you can put the puzzle pieces together. It would not make sense to anyone else. Like no one else can really put those pieces together for you. And it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. And I feel like you are, you're becoming aware of this because I feel like in a sense, first of all, you're meant to understand that like, you don't have to explain your path to anyone or explain yourself to anyone, but it's valuable for you to understand it because you have to understand how you work and how your life works, and it will make it easier for you going forward to just be confident in where you're going without needing to explain everything or to even have everything explained to you. Like you can kind of trust the universe a lot more and just trust life. But also being able to explain this to the extent that you understand it might be helpful for certain other people who stand to gain from your perspective in terms of you being able to put your life together and make it make sense in a way that wouldn't be obvious to other people, helps other people do that with their lives. It's not saying that you have to go out and tell your story with the purpose of doing that unless you feel called to do that, but it's more like your attitude towards life and the way that you talk about your life and the things that have happened, like might click things into place for other people, or they might be able to watch you and then start to understand their own lives as well. And you don't need, but I feel like one of the important things as well, along with that, is that you also don't need to explain your path, because like other people will get what they need from it. Like you don't have to try, like you're on your path, you don't have to really try so much to have an impact. Or, I feel like for some of you, you have a sense of responsibility and maybe there's certain like impacts that you want to have in the world, but it's like, you don't actually have to like strategize or try so hard to have that impact. Like you kind of just are the impact, right? Like you just are that person. Like stay on your path, stay on your road. And there are things that you might be good at explaining yourself or expressing yourself in words, but there are things that words cannot convey, or words alone cannot convey, that you will convey just by staying on your path and being who you are. So like trust in that and don't overthink it, right? It's all about not overthinking it, I feel. Very interesting. So last but not least, let me just grab you a angel number oracle card to close out. So what is group 3's closing angel number card? What's the last message you want to leave with group 3? Please. What is an angel? 857. Creative flow. Yeah, this makes sense. You are ready. Your angels are telling you that the creative flow of ideas is coming fast now. There's a lot being fed to you, and it's not essential that you remember or absorb it all right now. Okay, yeah. Sit quietly in meditation for a few minutes and write down anything that comes up. Continue to write things down throughout the day. So this very literally might be some really good advice for you if you don't already journal or do just stream of consciousness writing. That could be one way to tap into some intuition more effectively, and also your creativity more effectively, but also like flow, the concept of flow. Exactly, like you're meant to be flowing, you're on your path, you just need to flow with that path. This is all about creative flow, your ability to be in the moment. So creative flow is not just about art, although maybe for some of you art is a really significant part of your life and you are very creative in that sense, but creative flow is just about like creating your life, right? Going with the flow. Yeah, your path has been built. You're on your road. Stay on it. Go with the flow. Continue to be in that moment. Trust in, you have the resilience to stay on your path and to not be led astray or shoved off of it by people who just might be misguided or might be trying to tell you how to do things. And you don't need to do that. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need your life to make sense. Flow and creativity does not always make sense, but in the end, you'll always it's just like when you're creating a painting, you trust the process. You might have some ideas, you might know how to use color theory, and that might inform some of your decisions, but you'll also have inspirations that come up along the way, and you might not know exactly why you make a certain choice here or there. And sometimes you're going to reach a point where the painting looks really ugly, but you know that you have to just keep painting and it'll eventually come together. And then by the end, you look back and it's a beautiful painting, and all the steps that you did leading up to it are what contributed to it. Even if there were things that were mistakes or things that you changed, it's because you made that one choice and then you were no, I needed to make a different choice. That informed how the painting turns out, and it was all part of the process. And so that is what you're doing. And so even if it doesn't make sense right now, it will when you're looking back at it later. So, and every so often you can always take a pause on your road and take a step back from the canvas and just look at what's been created so far, see how it makes sense, make the connections just to reaffirm your trust in life, and then keep going. Beautiful. Wow, we love that. So that's all we have for you, group 3. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was helpful. Please comment, subscribe. I would love to know how that resonated. And if you're interested in a personal reading, I do offer those on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, as well as hypnosis and human design. My mom does human design She's also a tarot reader and hypnotist as well, but she's the only one who does human design. I wanted to mention that we do work together, so you can check out all our information on our website, link in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye!